This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hi everyone, I'm teaming up with the website rewire.news to explore the intersection of their work and mine on a brand new podcast called Get It Right. On Get It Right, we explore pop culture through the lens of justice, and particularly reproductive justice. I'll be talking to critics and creators about comics, movies, TV, music. Anything is fair game. You can find it now on iTunes or Stitcher. Just search for Get It Right or Rewire. Give it a listen and drop us a review with any ideas for what you'd like to hear us cover. See you soon.
Confabulation is a new convention from the people who brought you 10 great years of WinCon. We're by the fans and for the fans, so there's no celebrity guests or long autograph lines. Just fan-run content about the things you want to talk about. Join us in Pittsburgh, May 25th through 28th, for a weekend of friends and fandom. Get more info at confabcon.com or our Twitter, Tumblr, or Facebook pages at confabcon. Hope to see you in Pittsburgh.
Hi, this is Anika Noni Rose, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
This is Van Jones with Yes We Code. You are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hey, this is Francesca Ramsey, but everyone online knows me as Cheska Lee, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast, and it's dope.
My name is Felicia D. Henderson. I'm the co-creator of BET's The Quad, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
This is Latoya Morgan. I am a writer on Into the Badlands, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
This is Lisa Joyce from Insecure, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerd podcast.
My name is Idris Elba, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hey, what up, y'all? This is Jenny Ellis from HBO's Insecure, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Holla boys and girls, it's the BGN. Coming from the Marvel world to the DC friends. All the way from Hollywood to the PCN. She defends everyone from sleazy men. Won't apologize for spitting Shonda rhymes. The space that we make is never colonized. We're talking games and movies and actors. Word? Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Yeah, better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.
Thanks for tuning into episode 108 of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. My name is Jamie, and I am your host. This episode is titled The Big Sick, Alien, and BGN live at South by Southwest. 3 incredible segments. In our first segment, Jacqueline sits down on a one-on-one with the cast and crew of the movie The Big Sick, which premiered over at South by. This features Emily V. Gordon and Kumail Nanjiani, both a real-life husband and wife team working on this film. In our second segment, we do a roundtable interview. This is featuring Kyndal. She sits down with Ridley Scott, Katherine Waterson, and Danny McBride to talk about Alien, as well as Alien Covenant coming soon to a theater near you. In our third segment, we do a live podcast over at South by, and this was an incredibly exciting opportunity for us, and it was great to just be able to interact with the fans and see them as we are live doing this very podcast. So in this podcast, it is hosted by yours truly, Jacqueline, and Kyndal. All 3 of us had a fantastic time over at South by, and we introduced a celebrity guest, none other than Lyndie Greenwood, actress from the TV series Sleepy Hollow. She plays the role of Jenny Mills. So we talk very briefly about Sleepy Hollow, but most importantly, we talk about why she came to South by, and we spend a lot of time geeking out with her over her favorite fandoms. So that's our show. It's the South by Southwest show. I guess it should have been given that title instead. But if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see a lot of our video content from the South by Southwest Conference. So check out our YouTube channel, BGN TV, for our red carpet coverage. This features movies such as Gemini, Atomic Blonde, Free Fire, Baby Driver, and the Netflix series Dear White People. And there's also a one-on-one interview that I have with rapper Warren G and also director Karam Gilliam in the new documentary called G-Funk. Thanks again for your support of Black Girl Nerds. We ask that you always continue to support us, not only through social media, sharing, and also spreading the word, but we also ask for your help on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/Black Girl Nerds, you can see our Patreon account and donate what you can. All of these monies help go to fund us for trips to go to Austin, also to cover other events throughout the year. We plan to go to San Diego, New York, and many more cities to do coverage of everything that's under the pop culture umbrella of nerddom. So sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 108, The Big Sick, Alien, and BGN Live at South by Southwest. Enjoy! Based on the real-life courtship between Kumail Nanjiani and Emily V. Gordon, The Big Sick tells the story of Pakistan-born aspiring comedian Kumail, who connects with grad student Emily after one of his stand-up sets. However, what they thought would be just a one-night stand blossoms into something real, which complicates the life that is expected of Kumail by his traditional Muslim parents.
So it's South by Southwest, guys, and we are sitting down with filmmakers who I'm really excited to chat with because they have this great film that is having its second showing here at South by Southwest, The Big Sick. I have the husband and wife filmmakers behind that, Emily and Kumail. How you guys doing?
Great. Good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I wanted to go ahead and say you guys premiered at Sundance, and now you're here at South by Southwest. How different is it seeing it with this audience compared to seeing it when you guys premiered it in Utah?
I was way less nervous for this one. Because at Sundance, we were like, you know.
The first time anybody had seen it.
Yeah, and it was going to get all these reviews and stuff, so I was way more nervous for that. And then after sitting through a bunch of Sundance screening, this one I was like less nervous, and I was just excited for people to see it.
I also feel like the South by audience is a very, very, very comedy-friendly audience. And so I feel like the movie was getting laughs in places that it didn't get in Sundance. I mean, obviously.
I thought it did great at Sundance.
It did great at Sundance, but we were getting new laughs in places I hadn't heard before because I feel like we have a lot of fun comedy people in Austin who are really kind of here to, like, love the movie, which was great.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of comedians say that this is a good comedy town, so I can definitely attest to the fact that I'm sure you guys had a good crowd as far as people laughing and enjoying the film. What were you most surprised at when you saw it with the South by audience? Was there a spot, and obviously no spoilers, so we'll try, but was there a spot that you were really surprised that they like giggled about?
You know, honestly, for me, I felt like it played, you know, it's great that the audience loves it and they're laughing so much. It always bugs me when they're laughing and they can't hear a line. But it just, I like hearing, my favorite parts are actually when people go like, oh no, or oh shit, or something like that. Like when, you know, certain things happen and they have an emotional response to it, and you can hear people like gasping and stuff in certain parts. And
yeah, there's a part like Kumail's parents walk in the room and I could hear people going, oh.
Yeah. No spoilers. Be careful.
Yeah.
So those are the parts that are really exciting to me.
Yeah, it's really funny. I was going to talk to you guys. Well, first, let's talk about the film itself. For those that don't know, I guess, could you guys give me maybe, because I saw it, I have a weird story behind me seeing it. I saw half of it Sundance, and I saw half of it here in Austin. I know that sounds weird.
Was same half or different half?
Yeah, I had to. So I missed the first, 30 minutes of it due to the fact that it's Sundance and snow, and I was just a crazy like Texas girl and did not take into account how long snow takes to get around. And so I missed the first 35 minutes, but I saw it yesterday, the first part. So I've seen it all together now, but yeah, it was a little bit difficult in Park City for me to move around. But can you give folks a little tagline of the film and kind of describe the plot a little bit for them?
I would say that it's a couple that falls in love, and both of them have their own complications. One of them has medical complications, the other one has cultural complications, and it's the two of them trying to figure out how to navigate those complications and whether or not their love is worth it.
Wow, that is so succinct and awesome.
I'm trying. It's so hard to not be like, okay, and then this happened, and then this happened. But yeah, that's the most succinct version I have. Do you have any more succinct? Right. All right.
I was going to say, you can tell you guys wrote it, which obviously this is semi-biographical about you guys' courtship, which I think is absolutely amazing. Moreover, too, an interracial couple, but more, it wasn't about that as the dynamic. Your relationship and the things that happen around you are way more, I would say, the focus points than the fact that, hey, this is a Pakistani American guy and a girl from the South. Like, that's a part of your story. I loved that. I love that was, because as a Black female myself, you want to feel like an everyman, right? And I loved how the story felt that way.
Thank you for saying that. So one of the things that it's very easy for this movie to get reduced to is like a culture clash comedy. And
yeah,
as you said, it's just one aspect of the movie. There's a lot in it, and that's one of the things. But it can be very easy to classify it as that. So thank you for saying that.
And even though I like those scenes in other movies, the one scene I didn't want in our movie is like Emily trying some Pakistani food and being like, "Oh, it's so spicy." I didn't want that.
No, and I think you guys played it really great. Again, you could tell you guys have been together because what is it? Y'all have been together 10 years now, right? It really shows both your love of the material and obviously your relationship with each other. I thought it was really great. And then when I found out, because forgive me, I didn't know you guys were a couple before I saw the film, and I was like, oh my God, this was like, how was that writing with each other? Because I get in fights with my roommate about dishes. I can't imagine being like, let's create this movie together.
That's great that you didn't know. That's a good barometer.
Yeah, because most people won't know.
Yeah.
People won't know. I thought we'd worked together before. This is the first time we wrote together, but it was really, really helpful, obviously, to be on the same page, like, emotionally. And obviously we had some disagreements, but we were pretty in lockstep about the kind of movie we wanted to make and the tone we wanted to hit and what the movie was going to be about and what was going to be important in the movie. So I felt like we were pretty, we were simpatico in that stuff.
Yeah, I think if we had not worked together before, because we'd worked out our working relationship pretty well over the years, so if we hadn't had that worked out, working out a working relationship and then working out a writing relationship might have been, I think, a bit complicated. But as it was, we just had to work out our writing relationship, and we are pretty similar. So we would just, we would divide up scenes. Each of us would write the scenes, and then we would trade them off, and the other person could kind of rewrite. And then if we disagreed, we would talk about it. But it was pretty good. It was a pretty good system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, too, was there anything during the writing process that you guys found out about your courtship with each other that maybe the other one had kept from?
Absolutely.
There were certain things, certain events that I remember differently than she remembers them, where like different things were important to her or different things were important to me. And it was interesting to see that through the writing. Like I would see her write a scene and be like, oh, that's how it was from your perspective. And I think that really helped us have both perspectives in there.
Absolutely.
Emily's side and my side equally.
I think it helped make Emily feel more like a full person, even though she's asleep for a good part of the movie.
Yeah, that's also going to be the tricky thing with this movie is that one of the leads of the movie is asleep for half the movie. So you really, really have to make sure that
she's represented.
She's represented as a full character with a very defined point of view.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't even say too much of that because I feel like there's so much of that moment when you kind of the narrative shifts into this like, okay, these two people are trying to fight for their existence physically. Like I feel like I don't want to tell too much about that, But I will say, Emily, you've become a huge advocate for this rare disease that you have, Still's disease, and how important was it to get the medical part of it right when you were writing this? Because I would imagine it was important, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was super important to me because I do feel like it's easy to kind of have a character just like cough and then the next thing you know they're under and then it's like, oh, we fixed her.
It's so funny that you say that. We had so many conversations like, did we see her cough in the movie before this? And we decided not to have that. We decided to have.
It's just a thing that's always in movies.
Like someone coughs in a movie,
they're dead. They're dying. Yeah. But I do think it's a thing that I kind of still live with, and it was important to me to have that kind of represented as being like everybody's kind of got their stuff. And the more after the movie, I've talked to more and more people that are like they have their own kind of rare conditions and they've had to have weirdo medical stuff. But for the most part, medical stuff isn't cut and dried and clean. So I think we kind of wanted to represent that too, and that the doctors are just doing their best, like day in and day out, to like, oh, she's doing okay today. Well, I know I said she was doing okay yesterday, but today she's not doing as well. That's actually how it goes. And I think that was kind of important to represent too.
And the other thing was we had to figure out like how much of the medical stuff should be in the movie. Like, it's obviously not the reason that the movie exists. It's more about the people and the relationships. But how much of the medical stuff do we put in there so that people know where they are with the medical mystery angle, and how much of it gets too much? When is it too boring to just hear doctors talking about? So there were actually a couple more doctor scenes that we cut out because we realized that we didn't need them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I felt that the medical part of it was actually very accurate as a younger person that's taking care of an older parent through some medical issues. I felt like that was actually very true. And I was like thinking to myself, because that's that same emotion. It's like you don't kind of know what to do. And it's even more exacerbated when you're dating someone because it's like, okay, I'm her kid. Like, I'm allowed to be in the room no matter what.
Yeah.
And I loved those moments where, you felt like he didn't know if he should be in the room, but he wanted to be. I loved that. I really did.
Yeah. That when you don't have, like, legal status, it's a kind of a weird thing.
Yes, exactly. The other thing I was going to ask you guys about, because I do follow both of you guys on Twitter, and I've noticed that, this story, you guys created it, and I love that, with a film like this and with television shows like Masters of None, I feel like more voices are getting out there because these creators of color are saying, like, screw it, I'll make it, right? Like, if I can't, do it, or fresh off the boat, and all of these expanding different forms of media, and more importantly, being with Asian and Middle Asian characters. Have you noticed that now you feel like, is it still the same, where I saw you talking the other day about, the casting stuff from from before? Yeah, Cal. Is it gotten better, or do you feel like if you want it to be the right way, you still have to create it?
I think it has gotten a lot better. I mean, you could see that some of the stuff that Cal tweeted, you're like, I don't think that would fly today. However, there is still a long way to go, and I do think, I don't think I would have been like the lead of a movie if I hadn't written it myself. Like, it's still really, really hard for us because, like, we had a friend recently tell us, he's Hispanic, and the channel was like, we already have a Hispanic show. You would never be like, we already have a white show.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, no.
I still think that there's a sense that there's a quota of number of people of color that once you meet that, all right, we've done that, we don't need it anymore. I think there's still it's not as easy to have the actual points of view of minorities represented in movies and TV. Sometimes, a lot of times, it'll be like a character written for a white person who then a black person plays, and that's kind of it. You don't really hear so much about it. That's why I love, like, Get Out so much, I feel like for a lot of people, Emily was saying this too, I think for a lot of white people, they understood what it felt like a little bit to be a minority, or at least understand that,
or empathize with being, if they didn't,
or understand that, like, being a minority is fundamentally different than being white in America.
Yes, I love that movie for that. We actually, the episode right before our South by episode is Jordan Peele, and we talked to him about that. Yeah, we just had him on. Yeah, and I love that these stories are getting told, but I just, like you said, I don't want to, I hate to say this, but I'm like, none of y'all are getting a pass, because even if they all of a sudden cast every movie blacker than Black Panther, we still got a long way to go. So
yeah,
I don't, you know.
Yeah. What movies get out is, they're also showing that people want to hear these stories too, and it's
100 million, baby.
Yeah.
It's not just that they're representing new points of view. There is a hunger for people to hear these other points of view as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. I was just going to say, well, this actually brings me to a nice sum up, which is, you guys, congratulations on the film and the distribution deal. I know that that's like a hard thing too, is deciding what kind of place to go. You guys are in a great position that people were really hungry to tell it. How did you make the decision to finally choose to go with Amazon, like as opposed to some other venues, or what was part of that process?
Well, I will say it's a little bit, it ends up being people kind of over our heads that ended up having the meetings, but what we kind of saw was that Amazon really cared about the movie and wanted to make sure that it got to as many people as it possibly could, and they seemed to really get the movie too.
Yeah, and we, you know, as Emily said, it wasn't our decision, but we love that we're with Amazon. Our thing was, we wanted this movie to come out in theaters, because I feel like this is a movie that you should watch with a bunch of different types of people in a theater. And so I'm glad that that's happening. For me, that was the most important thing, and I hope you know, people go see this movie in the theater, because much like Get Out, I think it's better as a communal experience.
I saw Get Out in the theater by myself, and it was just a
there were other people there.
I mean, no, I was alone. I wasn't with anyone.
You were there, right? You were with a lot of people.
But I was with tons of people, but I didn't know anyone I was sitting with, and it was a really great experience to kind of just take in other people taking in the movie. So I want that. I want that for our movie too.
Yeah. And I think you guys will get it. Again, I can't say thanks enough, and I really appreciate you guys doing this over the phone with me, and best of luck. I hope you guys get to enjoy Austin. So, yeah, get some tacos.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Our next segment is a roundtable interview featuring Kyndal and the cast and crew of Alien, along with a quick discussion of Alien Covenant. This segment features Ridley Scott, Katherine Waterson, and Danny McBride.
So, Katherine, I want to know specifically, how do you feel about the representation of women in science fiction and fantasy films, or how that has changed over time?
Well, we were talking about this earlier. You know, all it takes for any change to happen is a few people who have a lot of power to have the guts to show something in a new way. And that was just a couple of people in a room together, putting together the first Alien. There's a script. Ripley's the dude. And they say, what do we put a woman in the part? And they say, yeah, why not? Rather than, I don't know, will this work? Maybe not. Can a woman do it? And all this bullshit questions that in probably a lot of rooms all around Hollywood ended in them not going for it. You know, like the people that didn't have the courage. So then somebody has the courage, and it changes the shape of the business. And obviously, because it sells tickets, these things have to succeed for it to continue. Sure. But I think with Alien, obviously you change the look of science fiction.
It's also giving women parts that aren't just playing the girlfriend or the wife.
The person in the damsel in distress.
Yeah, exactly, damsel in distress.
But you've made that a part of the franchise, because there's Sigourney and Winona and Noomi and now Katherine. What made you want to center this franchise so firmly around women?
Well, the first one did so well. Why change again? Sorry. My favorite word is duh. I like Beavis and Butthead's fucking great.
They're the best rock critics ever. They're the best music critics ever.
They're great.
Beavis and Butthead are critics?
Well, they're the best music critics, so they just boil it down to this sucks or this doesn't suck.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I love that. It sucks.
That's all you need.
It doesn't suck. Okay, go.
I thought that they had like an ongoing
Oh, yeah.
like a radio show.
Danny, did you get to pick out your awesome hat?
Well, you know, that was one of Ridley's ideas from the get-go. We talked about it being like an homage to Slim Pickens and Dr. Strangelove. And so, yeah, he was easily embraced. Yeah, it was good. Then it became the signs of when he's wearing it and when he's not. You know, how stressed out he is. Or
measure of stress level. The hat comes off.
Yeah, when you do shit like that, you start thinking, oh, maybe we shouldn't have the hat. It works out really well.
Good.
Is Slim Pickens from Austin? You remember Slim Pickens? Anyone know who Slim Pickens was? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but we just don't know where he's from. Relax. I'm looking it up.
He was the pilot, the B-29 pilot in the String Club at the Cowboy. He rode the bomb down. Well.
Is there any truth to the rumor that Catherine's character is connected to Ripley?
Who started that shit?
Yeah. That's a really great answer.
I've been going around telling people that.
The only reason I asked is that it came from a site that has been pretty consistent in their reporting. I don't know where they're actually getting their stuff from. It's like some fan site, like an alien predator fan site. It's crazy, and I'm always wary.
But they usually are right.
But they've been kind of right, so that's the only reason I asked. Yeah.
What was the question?
Is there any truth to the rumor that Catherine's character is connected to Ripley?
No.
No? Okay.
Oh, that was probably way back when. Should she be the daughter of Ripley? I said, no. It's very Hollywood, that, isn't it? Daughter, father, mother.
I never heard anything.
No. She's herself.
You're right. He was born in Texas, but it doesn't say where.
Yeah. I think he did a lot of John Ford movies. Was he in The Searchers? Very, very young man. Slim Pickens and there was that other guy who was in The Searchers, and they were all real cowboys, and just got the movie. John Wayne. Right, it's huge.
Danny, quick question. Tennessee, where did you draw your inspiration from? Or did you just you know what, let's do something brand new?
Well, on the ship, it's a lot of scientists, and and I like the idea that in that originally it was kind of you had working class people, and so I think that was sort of his dynamic with him, is that he was a little more working class. He doesn't and he's paired up with all these scientists and brilliant people. So it was sort of trying to figure out how you would kind of operate in that world, something advanced like that, but still kind of bring a little salt of the earth to it as well.
Yeah, I saw the clip that got released, and I love what I saw. I'm I can't wait to see the rest of it.
Oh, good.
Oh, good. Yay!
How tempting is it at this point in the process to just show Covenant tonight?
Not a chance. The original Alien show tonight.
Right. Yeah, I know, but you could.
You could.
But I don't think you
have
can.
that power.
That would be stupid.
What does it take for a film to be scary?
What?
Is it different? What does it take for a film to be scary today?
It's the hardest single thing to do. I think it's a lot easier to make people smile.
Oh yeah, what you do is easy.
I'm sitting with one guy in the room and saying, yeah, sure. But in a funny kind of way, people tend to, I think we've been challenged by so much violence, super violent, like Saw 13 and Christ knows what else, where you get so numb to blood and numb to brutality and numb to inhuman behavior, which they put out in the pretext of entertainment. And so people get hardened to it. You get a 5-year-old seeing Saw fall, and it's like, whatever, that's boring. So it's hard, and therefore, way back when I was sitting there I was going to do Alien. And I think at that moment in time, there were two one really serious one that scared the hell out of me, and I would be then. I was 40 before I did my first movie. And I'm sitting there in a room in Fox, screening films, and I'm screening The Exorcist again. Exorcist is a perfect engine of Exorcist 1. It's a fantastic film, and it was mainly because it kind of feels logical, feels possible, and when it's possible and logical, it's always scarier. Built around terrific characters, Max von Sydow, Jason Miller, and a great actress, fantastic actress. And so that was wonderful. And then I looked at, I thought, shit, this is going to be difficult. Then there was Omen 1, which was a pretty good film. Omen 1? Gregory Peck.
What year? Oh, yeah, the original.
Yeah, the original. That was quite clever and scary. These are all clever and scary. And then I thought I better look at some hardcore thing. I'd always resisted seeing a film because of its poster. Because it had a guy with a pig's head on him and a saw. I'd never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Toby Hooper. And so I sat in the room one afternoon and watched anyone ever seen Texas?
Yeah.
I mean, that is hardcore. And I sat there thinking, he's not going to do that, and he does. And so that's hard to do. So making scary films.
You think that's a brilliant movie, right?
It is a brilliant movie.
It's incredible. Yeah.
It's like he goes OTT and then again he goes OTT, and it ends on a girl running down the road covered in blood and demented. End of the movie. Not a happy ending, but it's a great movie.
That would have been a good tagline.
So it's
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's not a happy ending.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our final segment is our live podcast from South by featuring actress Lyndie Greenwood. And just a quick production note, you may have to turn up your volume on this segment. Our Zoom mic was just a little bit further from the stage where we would want it to be, so the audio is a little bit lower than normal. So do apologize for that. Enjoy. Thank you guys so much for being here for our live Black Girl Nerds podcast here at South by Southwest. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is our second time doing a live podcast, so it's really fun to be able to do these and see the folks here as we're doing our favorite things, talking about just geeky topics. And we're going to talk a little bit first about our experience here at South by, and then we're going to invite our special celebrity guest on the show. But before I get started, let's do some introductions. We'll start with Kyndal, Jacqueline, and then I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we're going to chat about South by real quick.
All right, hi everyone. I'm Kyndal Wilson. I am a contributing writer and editor for Black Girl Nerds. This is my first time at South by coming as press, but living in Texas all of my life, I've come to South by plenty of times, so it's just I'm just really happy to be here and talk to you all today.
All right, hey y'all, I'm Jacqueline. I'm a producer and contributing writer for Black Girl Nerds, and this is my 12th South by over 15 years. I live here in Austin, and it is literally my favorite time of year. Anyone who knows me knows that, and I'm so happy to be here.
And I'm Jamie Broadnax, managing editor and founder of BlackGirlNerds.com and host of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. You probably have seen me at a con near you somewhere between the West Coast at San Diego or the East Coast at New York Comic Con. And in addition to the work that I do with BGN, I'm also a podcaster on Rewire Radio called Get It Right. It's about the intersection of reproductive justice and social justice issues. And also, coming up next year, which is super exciting, I will be launching Universal Fan Con. So if you're going to be in Baltimore in April, the 27th through the 29th, whoop whoop, come on out to Universal Fan Con. We've got some really great special guests. Orlando Jones, who's here to promote American Gods, he will be a featured guest. And we're really excited to put this together. It's a con that's designed for being inclusive and includes people of color, women, LGBTQ, and people with disabilities. So we're really excited to put on this con for you guys, so check that out. So let's get started on our show. We're going to talk about South by first, just kind of our experiences. As you can see here, we've got some photos that we've taken throughout the week, and that's just like a small sample. That's not even a small sample.
I was like, it was a very quick small sample, but we got some on there.
We got some gems.
Yeah, we do.
Some really good gems.
We got John Hamm with his fine self on
that
there.
That is the gem. That is the gem. Yes.
Well, let's talk about John Hamm.
How much finer he is in person. I didn't think that was possible. But
He really is though. Like, you don't like Don Draper's cool or whatever, but in person it's just like you hear like
dream leader. I'm just like, yes.
And he called himself a black girl nerd.
He called himself a black girl nerd. So, you know, when you're on the red carpet, you announce your outlet and your name, and it says, "This is Jamie with Black Girl Nerds." And can you kind of tell us about the role that you're playing in Baby Driver? That's the film that he was presenting. And he's like, "Well, I play a black girl nerd." And we were like, "Good, awesome." So yeah, he was really cool on the red carpet, very gracious, and shook my hand afterwards. But that wasn't the highlight. Actually, the highlight was John's show.
Yeah.
Which you got to do by yourself.
Yeah,
which
we
ain't
didn't
gonna
get to
talk about that.
Yeah,
that's
salty.
That's hard to do camera and audio at the same time. But John Cho's presenting his film Gemini here, and when he walked on the red carpet, and I introduced Jamie's Black Girl Nerds, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I love the work that you guys do on social media." I was like, "Oh my God, you know who we are!" So definitely had a fangirl moment with John Cho, and he just said that I really appreciate, you know, the inclusivity and the diversity that you guys promote. So, you know, folks are seeing what we're doing out here in these Twitter streets.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, just being out here, it's really funny. There's like 3 reactions when folks, you know, hear that you're from BGN. They're like, "Oh, okay, I didn't know about that. What are you about?" Or they're like, "I think I've heard of that." And then like more often than not, what's coming up now, it's like the like, "You're real, I can see you," because they either follow us on Twitter or we're sitting in American Gods, and the girl had seen the La La Land article, which if you guys haven't seen it, we had some thoughts on La La Land, and it was, I have to give it up for Valerie Complex, our contributor, for writing it so early on, because she was one of the first people to call out some of the narrative problems in that, and it was huge for the site. And this like filmmaker sitting next to us at the American Gods premiere who like runs a film company, she's like, "Yeah, I heard what y'all said about that," and it was like one of the first ones where I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "That's crazy," you know. So our name's getting out there. And it's crazy to see it here.
It really is. And then had a blast. The photos aren't up there now, but had a blast yesterday interviewing the cast of Dear White People, which they're an incredibly fun cast, and you guys should check it out when it comes on Netflix. They did some really good work behind that series.
And I just want to take a quick second and talk to you all about American Gods, just to let you all know it's edge snatching.
Yeah.
So we're going to want to check that show out.
Especially the premiere. There's a moment in the premiere that you, and I'm not going to give it away because it's such a moment, but you're going to definitely be like, that may be the first time I've seen that on television, and I don't think they'll be able to top it. It was so,
you are going to want to check that out for sure.
And that cast is great too. We did their red carpet. We've done a lot. You know, we got to sit down with the cast of Fits and Starts. That's Wyatt Cenac and the lady who wrote Hello, My Name is Doris. We were on a panel. We did What is a Blurred?
Yes.
The very first day.
NBC Black,
Yeah, with Comcast. And then like meeting other nerds and geeks from the community here, like Dorian from Geeks of Colors here, as accredited press. Because, I mean, we love it being here, but a lot of times we're the only black face on the carpet, or maybe the only black face that is doing maybe an interview. And that's great that we're there. We're happy to be there, but we'd love to see more diverse faces. I mean, when there's another black person there, we're like, "Oh, did you see there's another one?" Go talk to her. Gotta talk, you know? And it's great, and it's not that, you know, the Dear White People, this is almost a 90% all black cast, and we're still the only black person.
Yeah, I was the only black person on the red carpet for Dear White People, which is just crazy, right?
Yeah.
So it's just good, though, that we're having these opportunity to do these press accredited conferences and seeing other folks like Geeks of Color. And I hope to see more because it just goes to show if you are out there just ready to create your own content, whether you're a blogger, podcaster, YouTuber, you can get these opportunities to have a platform and share it with a large group of people at a conference. Because at that NBC Black panel with What's a Blurred, we had Evelyn from the Internet with us, and she's done so much great work on just YouTube alone creating content.
Yeah.
So.
And then Pretty Brown and Nerdy, having 1/3 of Pretty Brown and Nerdy, not the whole group there, but yeah, and it's really dope too, because I've always said, like, I feel like this blurred community is unique in the sense that it is very much about
promotion of others. There isn't this whole thing to think like, oh, hey, well, if there's another Black outlet that's nerdy, we're not going to be able to have our space. Like, it's just not like that. It's very much like the more they do, the more we all do, right?
Exactly.
And that's not always the case in every community, because there is a lot of maybe cannibalism, and so some folks be like, nah, you're going to take my sunshine, but I don't feel that in this community, and it's so great. With every person we chat with, you feel that.
Yeah. Well, any other last final moments about South by?
South by has been great for the food and the drinks. I'm a person.
Can we talk about that for just a quick
second? Because I'm a person that likes to carry my flask around, and so I definitely have this little flask, which is just like a camera, real low key. But I had some rum in it, and I rarely had to use it because I kept getting free drinks, and I'm like, I don't even need to use my flask.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
no, you
which
can.
is great.
I
still have it, by the way, but it's just
there was so much free alcohol at this conference. I really appreciated that.
Was take the edge off just a little bit, but
it's a unique conference in that because you can stumble into you can stumble into free food and drinks pretty much anywhere. And more importantly, though, sort of like where we were yesterday, then you get to meet folks that you're like, oh, hey, we're at an event yesterday at the Capitol Factory, and these two guys who are video game makers were there, and we started chatting with them about the site. Turns out they do stuff with the Daily Dot, and like that's why people come. The networking is a huge part of it, and the fun stuff like going to see films. I almost forgot though. I have to mention this. I saw Stranger Fruit on Sunday. And that had me shook. I don't know if y'all know, but that is the Mike Brown documentary that has just come out, where they've released this new footage that basically really, I just kind of can't get upset about it as I think about it. It changes the narrative that they attempted to put out to discredit him during that whole ordeal, and it's just like, you feel this moment when you're watching it where you're just like, man, they really tried and almost got away with it if it wasn't for this filmmaker going back and checking the tapes. And I highly advise everyone to stop down for that film. We've seen some great stuff. Baby Driver's great, American Gods is great, but Stranger Fruit is like literally changing the game. And I wasn't at the premiere, I was at the second screening, but they had Mike Brown's family at the premiere, and apparently there was just not a dry eye in the house because it's just such an emotional story, but also so true. And it's not just a documentary that tells a story. I mean, it tells new things that we didn't even know. And I thought I knew everything about that from just, reading about it when it happened. But so check that one out. I think they have about 2 more showings of that. And this year, no matter what badge you have, you can get into everything. So you can catch a film screening if you have an interactive badge. So highly advise everyone to go check that one out.
Yeah, I also saw G-Funk. It's a documentary featuring Warren G, and produced and co-written by him, and got a chance to interview Warren G. I was just like, oh my God, I love you! So that's a really good documentary if you want to check that out. I learned a lot. It's basically about the subgenre of hip-hop called G-Funk, and it's based on a lot of influences from the P-Funk, P-Funkadelic era, like George Clinton, those folks. So I learned a lot about how that worked, and even he was talking about the East Coast, West Coast wars in hip-hop during that time, and how Suge Knight shut him out of Death Row, which I did not know about that. So that was a good documentary to check out. And then I also saw Small Town Crime, which is produced by Octavia Spencer. So there's just some really great films here at South by. It was some good stuff. There were some duds for me.
There were a few that weren't as great, but we're not going to talk about them. We're not going to talk about them. That's the nicest thing I can do. But overall, the programming was great and very diverse. This is another conference where you can tell they're not just making an effort to be like, okay, we got a couple here, but they have an African-American female filmmaker with a really fresh take on family life with Lemon.
Yes, Janika Bravo interviewed her. If you go to blackgirlnerds.com, you'll see the interview up on the site, and it's very interesting. It's a story about white mediocrity and white privilege. So she did a fantastic job on that.
Oh, and there's another show by writer Rachel Holder called I Love Becca and Lucy. And it's about these two female friends, and one of them gets engaged, and about how the other friend kind of feels left out.
And so it's just kind of a story about female friendship, cross-cultural female friendship. It's based off of the web series I Love Lucy and Becca, which starred Gina Rodriguez. So that's a really good show to check out because it just kind of explores female friendships, female relationships, and how sometimes you can grow apart and how you deal and heal with that.
Yeah. Oh, and for the nerdy too, I just remember this one. We got to interview Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Brianne Hildebrand from Deadpool, and also Alexa Shipp from X-Men Apocalypse, who plays Storm. We got to sit down with both of those girls because they are starring in a slasher, basically teenage slasher film called Tragedy Girls. And so I was like sitting there and like basically like nerd heaven, sitting down with these like two, because I really just wanted to be like, tell me about Deadpool 2. I know you're here for a movie, but just tell me about Deadpool 2, because you know Domino is whatever. But she was nice. She talked about the film, but again, this is one of the few conferences where you can do that. You can see films. You can do stuff like this, which is like interactive stuff. You can learn about new brands and new product lines, and you can really only do that at a mega conference like this where they marry all three. Oh, and we didn't even talk about like the comedy section. We saw At Midnight. We went to that campaign and got to sit down with Chris Hardwick. And you can't do that just at Comic-Con. I mean, you could try maybe, but there's still not going to be that wide berth, and there's going to be less opportunity for you to maybe get into that stuff because you're standing in line at Hall H all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. Don't get me wrong, we walked and we traversed the streets of Austin a lot, but
stood out in the rain on
Girl.
the red carpet.
Yeah. I was like, how did y'all bring rain here? It's like the city was in a drought for like 8 years, and then all of a sudden this South by is gonna pour down rain, but it is what it is. It's
great
still,
experience.
Yeah, still a lot of fun though. Still a lot of fun.
Yes. Well, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest of this podcast. Very excited to have her on. She is Jenny Mills on the Fox TV series Sleepy Hollow, and she's here to host the Innovative Interactive Awards. We have none other than Ms. Lyndie Greenwood. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you, Lyndie, for coming on our show.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored. I love you guys.
Thank you. So, for anybody who hasn't seen Sleepy Hollow, can you kind of give us a little bit of a backstory about what the show's about, and also what your character Jenny Mills is up to this season?
Yeah, sure. It's been we're in our 4th season, so there's been a lot that's happened. Forgive me, I'm a little discombobulated. I just got off a plane and
You're a trooper for being here for that.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, I was like, you just got here, and I thank you.
No, it's my pleasure. But forgive me if I stumble a little. But so we all know the Sleepy Hollow, Headless Horseman, Ichabod Crane. In our TV series, Ichabod Crane wakes up 250 years in the future, which is our time, and lands in Sleepy Hollow and meets Abigail Mills, who's the detective there, and they basically band together to stop the impending apocalypse. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's Jenny been up to this season? Because she's just been going through so much from one season to the next.
I know, right? They really don't give her a break. But, this season has been a lot about Jenny teaching the new witness how to be a witness. Jenny's sort of this kind of mama bear figure that we've never seen before. You know, after spoilers are fine, right?
Oh yeah,
okay,
sure.
So Abby died in season 3, and
right.
so
still getting over that one.
That's a hard one. R.I.P. Abby.
And so they had to. I mean, it's all about 2 witnesses. So they brought in a new witness, and Jenny obviously knows a lot about witnessdom through seeing her sister go through it, and basically impart some of her knowledge on this new character, and helps in the fight that she's been fighting for all these years since they were children and saw the demon in the woods.
Yeah. So you're here for the Interactive Innovation Tech Awards. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what drew you out to South by?
Well, I've never been to South by, so I thought it was a great opportunity. Yeah. I'm from Canada, and I was in Austin last year, but it wasn't for South by, so I was stoked when they asked me to host. Janina Gavinkar, who's the lead on our show now, and I are hosting these awards. And I have no idea what it's going to entail. I'm really nervous. But I've been looking through all of the contenders, and it's amazing stuff, like medical innovations. And I studied science in university, so I'm kind of like really excited to be a part of this. Also terrified. Some of the stuff that we can do nowadays is scary.
Black Mirror has told us about that a little bit.
We actually went to the mixer for them last night. That was the Innovation Awards, and it's all of the finalists. They kind of had this little mixer for them together, and we saw that, and I talked to like one person about what they were doing, and I was just like, I'm a fairly educated person, and thought, like, I don't even know how you thought of this idea, let alone created it.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Any advice for Lyndie on South by? Because this is her first time.
Help me out. I feel a little overwhelmed. Like, there's so much. How do you even organize your day or your thoughts around?
Yeah, overwhelmed is usually the first thought people have when they think about South by. As much as I love it, I do know it's kind of difficult to approach. But if you go to blackgirlnerds.com, there's actually a guide to how to get the most out of South by Southwest. But depending on how long you're here for, you here for at least a day or two?
Yeah, I actually leave Friday night.
Great. So you will be able to catch as many screenings as you would like, I'm sure. And I would say get lost a little bit. A lot of the hotel bars are great for just kind of mingling and just being there and great people watching. One of my favorite spots is the bar at the Driscoll. It's got a lot of couches like this, but it's not necessarily people sitting around the bar. The bar is actually very small, but it's surrounded by a bunch of couches, and it's old Austin, so it's not so much of the see and be seen people. It's much more about people, and they have a live band usually every night, and pretty much every venue is going to be featuring some kind of showcase. So I would check to see if an artist that you like is going to be here, because most of the time when artists come here, they play about 5 or 6 showcases. Yeah, because they can. A lot of times this is about them getting their name out, and so because of that, you can maybe catch them at different places. If you can't catch the first showing, catch the second. But yeah, the South by website, you go on there and you can search by type of event, and you can also search by the actual name. And I would just favor whatever you like. You can download that into your phone with an iCal download, and then kind of build your day around what you want to see. But the fact that you're here and you don't have that much maybe going on between the time you leave is like a gift. Or
No,
maybe
I do. This one, my publicist, is jam-packed every single hour.
Oh, well, then that's not fair. I feel bad then. Midnight showings.
Midnight shows some good weather.
Yeah, the weather's
weather.
nice too. Oh, that sucks.
It's so green here right now, but you were just saying it rained like crazy.
Yeah, it just did rain, so.
Did I hear you say that you studied science?
I did, yeah.
So biology?
Yeah, biology.
Yeah, so how did you get into acting?
When I was just finishing up my bachelor's degree at the University of Toronto, I realized I didn't want to go on and do any more science. And I had been studying martial arts for quite a while, and someone offered me a role in a short kung fu film, and I kind of realized from there, oh man, I want to act. And I remember having to tell my dad, I was really nervous because he helped me pay for my university degree. And I was like, I have to go to my dad and tell him, sorry, I don't want to do biology anymore. I want to be an actor. And he just said to me, sweetheart, I always thought you should be an actor.
Oh, wow.
So he was very, very supportive. And when I was really young, I loved to sing. And so I think maybe that performance, I went to a school called the Etobicoke School of the Arts for high school, and it really made me hate performing. And I stepped away from that and fell in love with math and science. And then that performing drive was still there somewhere. So came out later in life.
I'm curious, your role on Sleepy Hollow can be very physically demanding at times. Do you do any of your own stunts, since you said you've done martial arts?
I mean, I do as much as I can. I love doing it. But we have very talented stunt doubles. For me, Bethany Levy is one of my dearest friends. And Delamar, I forget her name. This year we've had someone else. So they're going to be better at it than me. So for like the longer, wider shots, that definitely using them. But I try to do as much as when it comes down to fight scenes. Yes, I'll do my own fights. But they'll always bring in another stunt person.
Yeah, because I mean, I could see you playing a superhero on screen.
I was just about to say that. I was like, since we've got that martial arts thing going, we are nerds.
Let them know.
And you said you are too. Like you consider yourself a Black girl nerd. Is there anything in that world that you'd be like, yes, if they called me up, I would for sure.
Yeah,
like...
who do you want to play?
I mean, yeah. It's funny because I just finished reading the entire Dark Tower series. And I'm in love with Susanna Dean, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. That would be such a fun role to play because she has a physical disability or but she's so strong and physical at the same time. That's what I love about her is that like she's just so powerful with this disability. So that would be really fun to play. But I think they're looking at Naomi Harris, so I guess that's fine.
You got it. No, it's so funny too because we live in this great moment where these like nerd stories that we've grown up and liked are now getting adapted. Because imagine saying like, oh yeah, they're gonna do a Misty Night. Like no, I would have never thought that I'd look to the day to see that on any form of media, let alone on a television series. So yeah, it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So you said you have the next 5 days jam-packed. Anything fun on the calendar that you're looking forward to already that you know?
Well, we're going to see the G-Funk documentary.
Nice.
Okay, good.
Enjoy.
Cool. And I actually really didn't know much about it until you gave your little blurb there. So that makes me even more excited because I love Parliament Funkadelic. And I kind of never really realized that was the influence there. So that's super cool. I don't know. But that I know we're looking forward to. Oh, we're going to see Wu-Tang tonight.
Yeah. This is the thing with South by too. Like Jamie was on the street with me yesterday. It's like you didn't tell me about this. I'm like I'm not the Oracle. That's what you are to me. I'm like, do you know how many things go on in a day?
And it's not even just the South by programming. Like outside of like bands just show up. So there's all throughout Austin.
Yeah, and
live music capital.
Yeah, and it is so funny too. Like you have to like start your day, and I'm giving you this as advice too. Know how far away things are, because you'll be like, how far is this? Like, it's so not. It's like 20 minutes later, and luckily it's not hot right now, but normally it is this time of year. It's already like gotten warm. So yeah, but if you haven't had it on your agenda yet, Torchy's Taco with the queso.
Right.
Girl.
They
got
really
some fans
do
in
have
here, I
the
see.
best queso.
Yes.
A little lactose intolerant, but I'll give it a shot.
Well, there's a taco.
Well, you can still do
Baja
the tacos
shrimp.
though.
The Baja shrimp taco. That one is really good.
Yeah. Or do their guac. Just do their guac instead. But either way, do their tacos. They're literally what Austin's kind of known for, and so.
I love food.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in the right spot.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I've been here before, and I had some of the best Japanese food I've ever had at Uchi.
Uchi and Uchi. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had tons of really good meals here.
No, it's definitely in for it. Oh, we almost forgot. Orlando says hi. When
Yes,
we saw
Orlando
him.
says hi.
It's like she's such good people.
I love Orlando.
I know.
Way to.
Do you guys still stay in contact?
Yeah, as much as we can. I'm actually going to text him as soon as we're done this and be like, where are you? I'm going to definitely see him while I'm here. Do you hear me, Orlando?
Probably listening. Well, he's going to be at our Universal Fan Con, too. He's like one of our top stars.
You should come.
Just hang out. It's in Philly. It's good time. What I was going to say, though, too, is on set at Sleepy Hollow, I'm imagining that you guys had fun, and I know that Missin is a bit of a prankster, so yeah. So what pranks and such have y'all gotten into?
Missin is a prankster? I mean, he's very funny. I'm trying to think if he's ever actually pranked anyone.
Oh, okay.
Is he very much like his character Ichabod? Is he just like a gentleman and Englishman?
Well, he's very British. He's very, like, that is 100%. He's very, very British. And he's got that sort of dry, like, wit, except for when he gets tired, he gets very childish.
He just
which
whines.
I appreciate, I'm just saying.
Don't we all?
No, just like finding humor in a little more slapsticky things than you sort of normally would. Like tripping people. Nobody's gotten hurt. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot. I mean, it was a little crazier when Orlando was around.
Was it?
I would imagine. Yeah.
So
he's a character. Yeah, he's a character, and he's just unabashedly himself all of the time. And so, you know, take it or leave it, which I love about him so much. And so on set, sometimes kind of have to wait a minute till he's done telling his joke, and then we'll get it done.
Oh my gosh. I was just going to say, you should have seen the outfit he came in for the American Gods premiere. I think it's shown at least once.
It's like
a
purple
suit.
Oh my gosh.
Him and Fuller were just like...
Brian Fuller, the creator, yeah.
We're just decked out in these suits, and I was just like, that's Austin. That's keeping it weird in every way, shape, or form.
That's great.
Are you working on any projects outside of Sleepy Hollow right now?
No, I'm not right now. Not in the industry. I'm working on teaching myself how to garden in my backyard.
Oh, I love that. I love gardening.
Do you?
Yes, I grow
Why didn't
herbs.
anyone tell me it was so hard?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Because you have to pay attention to like different herbs. Oh, are you doing vegetables or herbs?
I'm gonna start with vegetables soon.
Okay.
Right now, I've just been doing decorative
Because
things.
you have to
like
do
vines.
like you have to plant them at a certain time and certain. So I have a black thumb, right? You know, my mother, my grandmother, they're the gardeners, and I can barely keep an ivy alive, which is the easiest thing. So I was like, well, let me just try and grow some basil, some rosemary. But I mean, it's really therapeutic.
Yeah, it's so satisfying to do something that is so, like, at the end of the day, it's like, I did that, I can see it.
Yeah.
You know, worked
Try
soil.
like bell peppers. Those are really easy. Those are really easy to do.
I'll do that, bell peppers.
Yeah, I always look to that because, like, I'm from a southern household. My family's from Alabama, and, like, there's things that you grow up to do. It's like cooking and then growing things in the dirt. And I very much objected to the growing things in the dirt thing. But, yeah, it's very much indoctrinated in you. Like, that's what old southern women do is they bake and grow things in the dirt. And I'm just like, never. And watch in 30 years, I'll be out there.
My mom has turned out to be this really great gardener as well. I kind of remember when we were younger. I mean, like I say, I'm from Toronto. She's from the Caribbean, from Tobago. And now she lives in the Yukon in Canada. Coldest place. I know, she's crazy. She owns a Caribbean restaurant up there, though. So
really?
But yeah, I went over to her house, and in the summer, it's just flourishing with all of this. Why didn't you teach me anything?
So what's a nerdy or a geeky trait about you that nobody really knows about?
God. How do I pick one? I mean, I love to read comic books.
Ooh, which one?
Well, let's see, what brought me into comics?
Yeah.
It's funny, I actually actively avoided sci-fi and like genre when I was younger, even though people used to call me a nerd all the time because I would be reading, you know, I would stay inside and read while my friends were out playing and stuff, and I'd be made fun of for, you know, being a bookworm and all that kind of stuff. But my mom actually, no, this is TMI, but anyway, I've started the story, so I'm going to keep talking. My mom was dating this man before she came out of the closet, who was horrible. Hope he's not listening to this. But he was a huge genre fan. And it made me, like, not want to watch anything. Like, he'd be watching Star Trek, and I'd be like, I hate that stuff. And then when they broke up, I started to realize, oh my gosh, I love this. It's amazing. Like, but I think the first thing that sort of got me into, like, the world of speculative fiction and genre was Octavia Butler.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And,
you know there's a graphic novel on Kindred that's out now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a comic book graphic novel.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to look for that. Yeah, I've only read I've read, you know, Parable of the Seller and all of that. But, so I loved her. From then, I moved on to, I really liked horror, so I think it was 30 Days of Night with all the Steve Niles and that kind of stuff. stuff that got me into it. But now, what am I reading? Saga.
Yes! I knew Jamie was going to leave it on that one.
Saga is everything. I don't know if you guys have read that book.
I know, so please let's not talk too much about this.
No.
I'm like, no, I need to catch up.
Saga is one of those books where you just find yourself throwing the book at the wall.
No.
I have so many emotions.
It's so beautifully
so
done.
beautiful.
Oh,
the world building is everything.
World building is everything. I just started reading Low as well. Did you read that one?
No.
Just beautiful. Oh, who's that by? About this like, optimist that can't be curbed in this world of like cynicism.
Yeah.
And embarrassingly, I just started reading the Sandman series because I've never read it before. So I just picked that up.
Neil.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It really does. And I feel like everything that he's done is being adapted. Because he's got Lucifer, he's got American Gods, and I'm just everything that he touches, I'm just like, yes, let's do it. And I think they serve themselves better on television shows. Like, I feel like his worlds are too big to put in just these films like they want to, because I feel like you lose so much. But you mentioned horror, so I'm guessing, have you seen Get Out then? Let's talk about it. Okay.
The best movie ever. I was just like, and I saw it in a theater full of mostly black people. All types though, but
you have to watch it.
And you were just, it was the best.
The commentary.
Oh,
yeah.
The commentary. Which can really frustrate me sometimes.
Yes,
I'm like,
I agree.
shut the hell up. I'm trying to watch a movie. But in this one, it was perfect.
It was kind of part of that's kind of part of it from what I understand. Basically, seeing it, I've had a couple of friends say when they saw it in a reverse or in not the right. I feel like the white folks didn't feel like they could laugh. And it's what she said. She was just like, she wanted to turn to me like, no, this shit's funny. Like, y'all need to understand. This is
I can imagine watching it and kind of just like,
yeah.
I don't know what to do, but...
But she said that and she's seen it twice. She's a film critic too, so she said she's seen it twice, and the second time she saw it, and you're in Atlanta, right? Too? Yeah, and so like that's the way you want to see it, like which is folks.
Where the person next to you was like, "Don't go in there."
That's the way you want to see that movie, and I love that he created that. Jamie just talked to him on the podcast too, and I love where we're going.
Check out our last episode. It's the Get Out episode with Jordan Peele, and we also have a roundtable discussion about the movie.
I listened to that. And I'm so jealous. I would love. I mean, also being mixed race, I just I really, really love him. And Michael Key. Like I think that they just make me feel so.
Yeah. More social commentary horror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We need more of it.
I mean, and done in such a way that is just so entertaining. Like, you know, I think you also want to appreciate that he's just like a brilliant filmmaker. Like, yes, there's social commentary, but it's also just a really fun movie. Like, it's, you know, it's not, I didn't think anything was too on the nose. I didn't think anything was too preachy. Like, it was done in such a clever way that it really, that's difficult to do.
Yeah.
It's so clever that it kind of takes a second viewing to even get everything that was in there.
I'd love to see it again. I've read like, you know, theories online and stuff. But I kind of wish I had seen it again before I did that, because now I felt like, gosh, I don't know if I would have seen that. Anyway. Yeah.
Anything that can like garner that many pages and that many people writing about it is great. And then I have to ask you as an actress, because I do feel, you know, we're having this moment right now where there are different voices being heard. Do you feel it? Anything from maybe you seeking work? Do you see a difference now? And because I know before, like casting calls would always say the race of the person on the casting call, and maybe now they're trying to do more blind stuff. Have you felt that on the inside, looking in at it?
You know, I gotta be honest. I have mostly always gone up for open ethnicity roles.
Okay.
And I think that might be because I didn't start acting that long ago. Like, you know, 8 years ago. That's kind of a long time ago. And that might be because in Canada, when I started auditioning, I think people learned pretty quickly that I wasn't going to bring what they thought a black person should bring, and so maybe they just stopped bringing me out for those roles because I was disappointing.
In the best way, disappointing. In the best way.
You know, so I really love where we're at right now. I think now I'm actually getting more roles that are specifically African American, which is funny because I'm neither of those things. Canadian, Caribbean Canadian, but I like that now we're getting these roles that are specifically Black and they're more diverse in a way. Like, you know, like I think that's even nicer than being just called out for open ethnicity. It's like, no, we specifically want this strong Black female character, and we're gonna bring you out for that. So I think it's pretty good. You know, I think we're moving into a place that's really exciting. There's a lot of opportunity.
And I think it's really important too that your role on Sleepy Hollow is present, because you don't get to see many Black women in, you know, genre television shows like Sleepy Hollow. So how important do you think it is to, you know, for us to see ourselves reflected in genre fiction TV, and just to see roles that are just different than these sort of closed-minded roles that we kind of see?
I think it's everything, you know? I mean, especially considering how many people of color love genre. And it just seems so funny that it's taken so long for that to sort of be recognized as like, these, like, we're watching this stuff. Like, we should be in it. And it's, all I can say is like how I feel when I see, you know, things like Key and Peele, when I feel included in the conversation, it just gives me so much confidence in life. And I just hope that everybody gets to feel that way. You know, young girls get to feel that way. Or, you know, when you guys, I was listening to your podcast about Blurred.
Oh, that was our very first podcast episode.
Okay. And I think at one point in my life, I would have said that term is divisive, and I don't know if we need it, and it, you know. But on the other hand, it's just, it allows you, someone who feels like they have been excluded, to feel like now they're included. They have a place to be accepted and to be enthusiastic, and that's what being a nerd is about, being unabashedly enthusiastic about things that you love, and now you can do that as a Blurred.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good that you point that out too, because I've heard that from folks, you know, like, why does it have to be this? And it's like, it is not to say that. We have contributors that are men, that are of different races, that are, you know, most of the people that read our site are actually what you said
are men.
Yeah, are men. So it isn't that. We're not saying, hey, you keep out. We're just trying to show, hey, this is our little small corner of nerddom, and if you want to come take a peek at what we're thinking, speaking, seeing about,
that's
here we
are.
are.
Thing too.
Yeah.
It's not just for us. Like, people, like, everyone wants to see this voice, you know, or all voices. That's what's interesting. So, you know, we say, okay, this is our experience, and that's like what art is really about, is, you know, sharing your experience, and my experience is different than yours, and let's enjoy it all, you know?
Yeah. Nice. Absolutely. So I got like 5 quick social media questions, because we're big, obviously, on Twitter and everything else. So this is just like a little rapid fire social media quiz, and yeah, I kind of bit off Jimmy Fallon, but it's okay. So which app do you use the most?
Which what?
Which app do you use the most? Social media, Facebook, Twitter.
Social media wise. Guys, you're gonna be so disappointed in me. I find social media actually stresses me out.
Oh.
I'm a person who like loves turning off my phone and going into the woods for 3 days straight. So I'm not a huge
disconnect like
fan.
That's healthy.
I just need it. That's just you know who I am. But I think Instagram actually is probably the easiest thing for me.
All right. Well, going on to that one. What was the last picture that you took that wasn't a selfie?
I don't check anything, but no, I mean, last night was probably my dog.
Oh, your dog? Okay.
I mean, I can't really remember, but I'm drawing a blank. I say I'm tired.
No, that's good.
I'm curious, but yeah, probably my dog.
Who would you most fangirl out if they followed you back?
Oh man,
that's a good question.
Maybe Naomi Harris.
Huh?
Oh, Naomi.
Yeah.
Naomi Harris.
that is definitely a good one. Who would you like? Well, I think everyone. This question was a lot more relevant before recent. But who would you like to mute always? I think we all have the answer now. POTUS.
Nah,
we're gonna block him.
I took the Twitter app off my phone because I was getting so frustrated with him. So every now and again I go check, but it's too much.
You've muted everybody pretty much.
Everyone. Yeah.
All right. That's all I have.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
That's another
Star
one.
Wars.
Star Wars?
Why Star Wars?
I guess, to be honest, I've never really watched Star Trek. I mean, I've watched a bit here and there, but I should go back and do that at some point.
Yeah.
Star Wars
Start
I
with
watched
TNG.
over and over and over again. But
TNG, yeah.
Start with TNG. It's way better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if y'all don't like that opinion, but it's my take.
I've heard that before. That's the one. So.
I have some Star Wars purist friends that it's really funny. They were talking about it. It's like, look, I feel like the original series is sort of like you just have to be birthed through it to get to the rest of it, but there's no reason to be excited about it. There's like maybe 5 episodes in that, and the rest of it is just really, really bad. And any Star Trek fan, and I am a Trekkie person, will have to admit that if they don't, they're lying to y'all.
Well, it's 10 minutes till, so we're going to take this time to open it up to you guys for questions.
Yes.
And we do have a mic going around, so if you have any questions for Lyndie
raise your
or for
hand.
us, just raise your hand, and we
Don't be shy. I know one.
Not everybody raised their hand at once.
Don't even. Don't be shy, y'all. There we go.
The brave soul.
Yeah, you got it.
Hi, my name is Coachelle out of Baltimore, so I'm looking forward to welcoming you to Baltimore when you come for your event. And so considering we're here at South by and there's a number of films and increased representation with diversity, do you see a BGN documentary or movie on the horizon?
Ooh. Filmmakers that are listening in and or in the audience, holla at your girl.
Holla at your girl.
Where are the
Jacqueline's our
investors?
producer. I do want to just give props real quick to Jacqueline, who's from the area that just mapped out our schedule for South by, helped us get on all those red carpets, and she really puts a lot of work into getting this together for our event here at South by.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, that would be amazing. There's a book on the way that's going to be released next year. So if there's some adaptation from the book happening, it's a possibility. And a lot of what will be reflected in the Black Girl Nerds book is the work that I've been doing with the website and traveling to the different cons and the podcast. So it's very much a reflection of the Black Girl Nerds community.
That's so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that'd be nice.
And to add to that too, we have contributors all over the United States.
Yeah.
Like to where like I've worked with these folks for years now, and I've met a lot of them now at cons, but for some of them I would work with them for a year before I ever met them. But you still feel like you have a sister or a friend in a different, state, or even, some of these in different countries. From Lauren that's up in Canada, I mean, because we did TIP as well. We did coverage up there, and so it's amazing. And I feel like this is one of the few websites where we can do that, because we'll have people come up to say like, where are y'all based? And I really just say all over, and they like look at me, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's all over, like, because we have kind of key people in every area, which
Who
is
do you
nice.
have in Atlanta?
That's Kayla.
Kayla's in Atlanta. Yeah, she's our Atlanta correspondent.
Yeah, and then we have New York. We've got others.
New York, LA,
Virginia.
Philly.
Yeah.
And home office is in Virginia Beach, Virginia, where I live. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Natalie Cole with Candy Love. Hi.
Oh, I like that name.
Yeah, thank you. First, I want to say thank you guys, because I actually found you guys on Twitter, and I love the Flash, so I have to ask you about that, because you guys are really mean on my boy Barry. I need to hear your opinion about that. But I do want to start by saying I really appreciate what you guys are doing, because I mean, I'm a huge I'm a Black girl nerd, and so I was literally on Twitter trying to find out who's talking about the Flash. I can share I want to talk about this, and I found you guys. So I think that's awesome, because you guys are basically letting people know that it's okay to be into this stuff and be unabashedly just out there and love it. But yes, I do want to ask you, why are you so hard on my boy Barry Allen? You guys are mean on him. I love him.
It all comes from love, but I'll let Jamie take this.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I actually have not been tweeting from the account for The Flash yet. I'm actually behind on that. So I have to track down who's live tweeting The Flash to give you that answer.
Well, I can tell you at least this. Well, Black Girl Geeks does do it, and so they still do The Flash. And it's the Iris and Barry storyline where it is right now. Are you really happy with it? Because let me just say,
it is a mess.
Look, the girl behind
it
you,
is a mess.
it's a mess.
In her head because she knows.
And so, look, first of all, I really do love Grant Gustin, though. I feel like he has a great portrayal. I think that was just great casting because I heard later that, they could have gone with just another blonde guy, archetype, you know what I mean? And I feel like he brings a little bit more to it with his complexity. And I really like him and Iris when they get it together. They just don't always get it together.
The thing is, when it comes down to it, it's the writing.
Yeah.
It's the writers. It's not Grant Gustin's fault. It's not Barry's fault. It's just how they're writing those two characters together and the semi-hot mess.
Yeah.
The quasi-hot mess that it is.
But love Joe, love what they're doing with Wally. It's just
I still love the show. Still watch it. I mean, I'm going to continue it because I love CW. I love the Flash.
It's one of the reasons Twitter stresses me out.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, not this specifically, but people being like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I'm just saying the words. Honestly, it's above my pay grade. You do what you can do, and it's funny. And I like that people have a platform now to have such strong opinions, but it's interesting when it sometimes turns into a bit of a bullying thing. And you're like, this is misdirected anger. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's the key, though, too, is that we don't go on there saying, "Hey, Grant Gustin." It's not that.
Yeah.
Like, now, when people start directly going at people, then no. But
there's a healthy way to do it.
Yeah.
And then there's,
But I will say this. We still have a show with, like, 3 black leads in a genre television show. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot to be thankful for The Flash. And they've created this whole universe now that we get to play in. So that's great.
And I'll track down who that is that's tweeting some craziness about Barry.
Because the show's still
Take it
good.
down a notch.
Yeah.
It's still good.
Hi, my name is Jania. I write for Geeks of Color.
We love Dorian.
Geeks of Color, shout out.
It's something else. But I was inspired to actually even try to do that because of you guys. And so my question is for Lyndie. I am a huge Sleepy Hollow fan, and you got to be in that show with Nikki Bahari, and she's so phenomenal. So if you could be in any kind of project with any actor or actress, who would it be?
Oh man, there's so many things I would love to do. I personally would love to do more comedy. I've always wanted to do comedy, and nobody hires me for it. I guess I'm not very funny. But gosh, I mean, all I can think of is Donald Glover right now. That would just be a dream. I mean, Key and Peele, please. So probably that's where I'm at right now, something like that. And I love dark comedy, so maybe that would be very fitting, some sort of horror comedy with Donald Glover and Key and Peele.
He's got 6 more apparently coming. He's got a whole
6
bunch.
more?
I think he said something like he's gonna do an entire series on satirical horror comedy.
Wow.
Yeah. He's gonna stay in
Wow,
that
that's so amazing.
Yeah,
So
holla.
prolific. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Thanks for watching.
Hi, my name is Femi Kamalafi. I'm here from Austin. So I loved Get Out. I love Blackish and shows like that. So I guess with all these different narratives that are now coming out to the forefront of Black people and actually representing us as something more than just the stereotypical type roles, I'm wondering, do you guys feel that there are any stories that have yet to be portrayed of African Americans or even Africans? I mean, I feel like Africans are I'm Nigerian, and I feel like we're underserved in America as a whole. So do you guys feel like there's any additional stories out there about people of color, African Americans, people from Caribbeans, Black people from Canada that aren't really being told.
100%. Yeah, I think you hit on it right there. I don't know if you guys know about this. It's The Wedding Party. It was a film that came out of Nollywood last year. It's the highest grossing Nigerian-made film. And not a lot of people know about it. And I think there is a very big narrative of both first and second generational African and Caribbean immigrants that has not been portrayed in, I would say, even Black media or even, mainstream media. Because I have it from a lot of my friends who are, especially my second generation friends, they say that there's a lot of similarities between them and maybe some Indian second generation folks, because there is a certain community and environment aspect, and I don't think we do it as much in the African community. Like, they always tell that story with an Asian immigrant or a Middle Asian immigrant, but we haven't told that story with African American with African or Caribbean immigrants. And so, yeah, I think that's a big one. Evelyn from the internet talks about it a lot on her YouTube channel, because she's also a Nigerian immigrant as well.
I'm glad you asked that. I think all the time that we have so much further to go that way.
Yeah. There's a great Tumblr account called Medieval People of Color. I would love to see stories that just come out of that account. Like, I'm always learning something new, and like a Black version of Downton Abbey or something. Like, I would love to see those kind of stories come into the fold, because there's plenty of them, and that narrative is there. And for some reason, we have yet to see those stories. Anytime there's a historical piece about Black people, it's got to fall into the slavery narrative, and that's not representative of the Black experience. So I would like to see those kind of stories come out.
I'm a big fantasy person, so I've always been interested in seeing stories about like African gods and goddesses. And I was recently in Cuba last month and really got a taste of like the Afro-Cubano culture and how strong it is in Cuba. And we're gonna get a little bit of that in American Gods because of some of the gods and the goddesses that are represented in that show. But I think, we hear so much about Athena and Aphrodite and Zeus, and
Greek ones.
And the Greek ones, and then we get a little of the Egyptian and that. But I just think to kind of go deeper into the Orishas and just other aspects of the African diaspora and the culture and the gods and the goddesses, their mythologies. I would like to see that. And like I said, if you watch American Gods, you are going to get a taste of that. But I would like to see kind of more stories geared towards that, just because we get so much of the Greek and the Roman and all that. And I studied classics. One of my I majored in classics in college, and so I got a lot of that information. Yeah. It's great, great stuff, but I just would have liked to see more of that.
All right.
Well, we're out of time.
We are out of time. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you coming to our show.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you, Lyndie, for being our guest.
You're awesome.
All right. You guys have a great South by.
The Black Girl Nerds podcast is produced by Jamie Broadnax. Various episodes are edited by Jamie Broadnax, M.R. Daniel, and John Bauer. The opening theme song to our show is written and performed by Samus. Various instrumentals are performed by Samus, Sky Blue, and Shubzilla. You can find episodes of the Black Girl Nerds podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, and Spotify.
That was a HeadGum podcast.